Okay, we are live. Hello, how's it going, Diego?
Hey Swati, good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for joining me on this lovely evening, and I know it's morning over there for you. You are based in Australia, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Melbourne, 9:30 in the morning of Wednesday. Yeah.
Amazing, living in the future. Um, so Diego is one of our instructors for psychedelics today, and I'm super excited to connect with him to chat a little bit about the Navigating Psychedelics live course that is going to be starting tomorrow because he is one of the facilitators for the program. So happy to have you here.
Thanks for
And
yeah, I'm very happy to be here too.
no worries. And so I just wanted to have you chat a little bit about some of your experiences and how you have navigated this extensive journey, personal journey with psychedelics, and how that has influenced your career path today.
Yeah, of course. I can give you a little intro about myself. So I'm in my mid-30s now. My journey with psychedelics started around age, I think 17, 18-ish. I'm originally from Colombia, and I've been living in Australia from about 2008 now. So I moved out moved out of Colombia when I was around, I think, 19-ish years. I was introduced to psychedelics from, I would say, a ceremonial context towards moving towards consciousness expansion, evolution, growth, that kind of thing. When I was 17 or 18, I had first substance, I believe it was yahe, which is the name for the Colombian sort of version of ayahuasca. That changed sort of my trajectory. I was quite young, as I said, 17 or 18. I'd opened my mind a lot. And I was like, wow, there's another world out there and things that I didn't know. I remember back then I was very into IT, computers, technology, that kind of thing. I got really interested in the mind and in psychology, and I think that's what led me to studying psychology. So I did an undergrad in science, in psychological science here in Australia. And then I've always had this inclination towards spirituality, Eastern, approaches to spirituality, like, Buddhism, Taoism, and that kind of thing. And I thought they had like either very holistic approaches to life, I will say. And unfortunately, in Australia, a lot of the psychological training is quite, very clinical, quite narrow, I will say. So I started looking like, what can I study? What can I do? I found out there's something called transpersonal psychology, which is spiritual psychology, which also happens to study non-ordinary states of consciousness, which psychedelics induce. And I found this university called Sophia University, which used to be called the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, based in Palo Alto in California. And I found out that it was founded by James Fadiman, one of the big authorities in psychedelics, and how he's doing a lot of microdosing research. So I did a master's there when was that? Maybe around 2017 to 2019, did a master's in transpersonal psychology. When I was there, something happened, quite a synchronicity. There was a professor there who wanted to do research on psychedelics. They sent out an email looking to recruit students to help out. I, of course, answered that straight away. Interestingly, though, the university then sent out another email, which felt like a political email saying like, the university is not associated with any studies with LSD and psychedelics. And I'm like, that's a political email for sure. So I contacted the professor and said, what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, university doesn't want to be too public about this. So it's going to be a separate thing, separate from the university. And I'm like, of course, I'll help you. And I volunteered with this professor, Richard Knowles, for like about 3 years, helping him build like an LSD microdosing study, that kind of thing. So that kickstarted my, you could say, psychedelic career, back in maybe 2018 or so as a research assistant. Then I got involved with some initiatives in Australia. and I started working with psychedelics today, maybe 2021-ish or so. Yeah, with the program Vital. I also led the Navigating Psychedelics here in Australia. But yeah, I have to say that something that's really important is my connection through psychedelics today was through my partner. Actually, she's an artist, and she designed some of the mandalas and pictures they used in the integration book. And then she introduced me to Carol and Joe, yeah, which you might
This
have.
one.
Yeah,
I love these books. They're great.
yeah, she did artwork for these books back in the day, when early days of NavSci, of this course. She did some of that, and she introduced me to Carol and Joe. That's how the whole connection started, and then we've had a relationship. It's 2024 now. So yeah, I think that gives a summary of my journey in the psychedelic space. Now I'm involved in a psychedelic institute in Australia here, doing education courses for therapists, clinicians, that kind of thing, as well as working for psychedelics today with Vital and NavSci. Yeah.
Amazing. That is such a lovely trajectory, and I feel like it just flows so well. And I actually just wanted to back it up a little bit because I know you talked a little bit about your postgraduate degree in transpersonal psychology, and I think it is so cool and interesting that both you and Jasmine Virdi, who are our facilitators for Navigating Psychedelics Live, are both specialists in this area. And so I would like to ask a little bit about that and understand from your perspective, how do psychedelics and transpersonal psychology go hand in hand? And why is that relationship so important for the work that you do today?
That's a really good question. First, I have to say it's of course, it's not a coincidence that one of the main reasons psychedelics today exist is because Carl and Joe wanted to put transpersonal psychology out there.
What is transpersonal psychology? Like, if you had to describe it to somebody who isn't aware.
Okay, let's begin it very simple. Traditional mainstream psychology focuses mostly on the individual and sees you, as a bit separate and out of context and basically a bit materialistic. I think that's how I will see it. There's social psychology and that kind of thing, but there's nothing that touches on spirituality or the deep, intimate areas of the mind. And by intimate, I mean like deep connection with the self, with a capital S, and connection with everybody else. The one consciousness. People have used many words to describe it. It depends on your religion, your culture. But transpersonal basically means beyond the personal. So it's a study of the psyche that looks beyond the individual ego. That's how I will put it. And the connection with psychedelics is that on some psychedelic states, particularly higher dosages, where it depends how open you are to spirituality, you may have some experiences that allow you to see, firsthand and perhaps experience that we all share something. All of humanity shares something, and I think that's something. It's basically consciousness behind this shell, or how we appear to each other. We're all the same, and we're all connected in this one consciousness. So psychedelics, transpersonal psychology brings a language to the West, to our culture, to understand these experiences. Because in cultures, how I mentioned before, Eastern cultures, and some Western cultures like Kabbalah, Judaism have a language for this, but sort of like, let's say from the 60s, when a lot of these practices or things like Buddhism were being imported to the West, we had no language to understand this or way to study non-ordinary states, and that's sort of how transpersonal psychology was born out of. So it brings a language in a way that we can study these states. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, totally, and it's interesting because I think it's so important to have a philosophical lens to understand the psychedelic experience through. I think that those who maybe jump into this type of work without any context, without any prep, without, you know, a really safe container, they might be a little bit confused emerging from that psychedelic space, just how disorienting that experience can be. And so I think it's great that we're able to work with these philosophies and have experts like yourselves working with psychedelics today during our courses and just in general, putting this information out there. I think it's very important for the public.
Yeah, absolutely, because psychedelics are opening us up to different states, realms, levels of consciousness that you know, mainstream psychology doesn't touch. You know, deep levels of the unconscious, experiences. You know, that Stangrove called perinatal, before you were born, things that happened, you know, while you were inside your mom affect you. Psychedelics can open yourself up to, you know, to experiences, the kind of thing, and other transpersonal and spiritual experiences. So with psychedelics, we go level, it goes deep, 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 and deep. And we need a language for that. And we need a framework to work with this. And out of that, techniques are created to work with this. And that's the field of transpersonal psychology applied to psychedelics. So yeah, I would love to share that with my cohort once we get started. Yeah.
That's exciting. And this is something I'm very curious about, to be honest, because there are so many inexplicable experiences that happen during the psychedelic state. I know people have reported experiencing like rebirthing and things like that. And so that's really interesting that you're mentioning here that there's this like prenatal philosophy that can be applied and maybe help contextualize that. So that is really, really fascinating stuff. Is this the kind of, are these the kinds of topics and questions that come up within your cohorts when you're working with students?
Yeah, it has happened, and particularly on the week, we have a week dedicated to transpersonal psychology and growth, and also Carl Jung is one of the, you know, big transpersonal psychologists or depth psychologists. So yeah, we will touch on that, and as well as explore many other very important aspects of the psychedelic field, you know, like ethics, law, integration, which is a really important one. We have a great teacher for that, Ido Cohen. Self-awareness and inner work. I think that's incredibly important, and perhaps something that's not as emphasized in, you know, in many courses. The importance of doing our own work before we go and try and help other people. You know, I think this is really important, and it's an emphasis that we have in all our courses in psychedelics today.
Definitely. And so what are you most excited for in this upcoming cohort? I know there's such a variety of topics, and you'll be facilitating week to week alongside Jasmine. So I'm super curious to know what you're most looking forward to.
Yeah. Fortunately, I know a lot of the teachers in our cohort, and I've thought alongside with them. What I'm mostly excited about is actually meeting the students, participants in the course, because I like to say that whenever you meet a new person, it's like entering another whole world and another universe. And if they're new to the field of psychedelics, what I'm mostly excited about is to share what I know and my experience. And it doesn't mean not meaning that in a dogmatic way, like what I say is true. I actually bring a very, very critical perspective to the field, because I have had experiences in not just in the research or like the therapy area or education area, and the business side as well. And I have learned that, you know, there's a lot of the psychedelic hype, and I want to bring a lot of a critical lens to this. So I want to get people really well prepared, informed, from a critical perspective, and a very well, you know, science-based and philosophical way, very informed way to take their first steps into the psychedelic field. Yeah, I think that's what mostly I'm excited about. I'm hoping that, yeah, this course, yeah, will set you in wherever you want to go in the right way.
That's great. That's awesome. And so if you had to describe who is this course ideal for, like if you had to explain that, who would you say so?
You know, honestly, the course is mainly marketed to clinicians and wellness practitioners, right? I will say not just this, but like any professional who is looking to enter the psychedelic space from any angle will benefit. And I'll have to say, should probably do a course, if it's not like this, a very similar one where you learn all of the fundamental aspects from different angles into the field, you know, like the ethics, the legality, um, philosophy, integration, the transpersonal frameworks, so you know what you're getting into. Even if you're just an entrepreneur, you want to start your own business in psychedelics, it's really important that you know about this, that you know about the history, you know, where they come from, what happened in the 50s and the 60s, what is happening now. So there is like the use of psychedelics, you know, hundreds and even thousands of years ago, according to archaeological records. What happened back in the 50s and the 60s, you know, with the discovery of LSD, then the prohibition, then what is happening now. It's really important. So if you're a clinician, wellness practitioner, therapist, psychologist, excellent, because you will be what is called psychedelic informed practitioner. If people come to you asking questions, or they say, "Oh, I've tried psychedelics," that kind of thing, you can be open-minded, and you can support them, and because now you know what's actually going on, instead of just the typical misinformation about psychedelics, which I think we're all pretty familiar with. Yeah, now you'll have proper education to work with your clients.
Definitely. And it's nice that it's coming from experts in this field as well. It's not just kind of like regurgitated recycled information. It's something that a lot of these instructors bring through their own research, through their own experiences, and that is so valuable in itself. And something that I did want to note as well is the fact that there is such a community building aspect within these cohorts, alongside just the education. I know meeting week to week, being able to engage with the instructors is such a valuable addition, an exciting experience. And so can you speak on how those relationships tend to form and change over the weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, it's very true what you say about our teachers. Everyone who's presenting is working in the field and has worked in the field for years. So their perspective is informed by real world experience. Which is great. In terms of the community building aspect, I think is one of the most beautiful things that we have in our courses with psychedelics today, particularly because the psychedelic world is taboo. It's like it's not so open out in the world. You know, maybe in the US and Canada, there's more conversations about that kind of thing. But psychedelics in general, I will say they're still a bit taboo, and they're still seen with a lot of stigma. So what happens when you go into this small intimate space like our NavPsych course, and you feel open, relaxed, and comfortable about sharing either your interests or your experiences, you're putting down some walls and opening up yourself with other people. And so because everyone has this common interest or even common experiences, you start to form a bond. You know, maybe at week one, people might be a bit shy, but as we go through, people start talking, they hear from others. When you hear someone sharing about their experiences, you might feel more compelled, more open to share your own things or your interests and ask questions. So yeah, as we go through, people definitely form more stronger bonds, I will say. And this just not only helps you during the course, but afterwards, you know, how you network, for example. And my favorite week is actually week 9, when people share their own projects, their own personal integration projects. And it's just to, you know, let the public know these presentations are how people integrate the course into their lives, basically. So it's really beautiful to see people from different backgrounds, what they do with the course. And yeah, I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's great. I mean, it sounds like a very holistic experience for people to go through, especially if maybe they're curious about the space and they really want to further their knowledge while simultaneously receiving kind of this community aspect, being able to ask and answer their questions in real time with our instructors, be a part of the Psychedelics Today alumni, which is super cool. They get added into the Navigators community. So overall, I mean, it's like a great experience, and I'm really excited to see how it goes for you and Jasmine every week, being able to work with this great group of people. So looking forward to that. And I wanted to actually ask you, what kind of practical tools and applications can people get from the course? Like, I know we talked a little bit about kind of the theory, but is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yeah, and I think that depends a lot on what how you want to apply psychedelics and what your profession is. More than being a psychedelic informed practitioner, for example, we can talk about the integration week. You can learn about what is the actual process from a psychological viewpoint of opening your psyche up to a psychedelic experience, how to like hold that space for someone opening up to that experience, and how to work with the little gems or little treasures that you may encounter along the way, and how to weave that into your life and daily life so that you actually get benefit and enrich your life with that sort of thing. So, led by people who work in this. That's one of the examples. In the software um, week, you will learn as well. Techniques how to do inner work and how to work with your what is known as the shadow and your projections and that kind of thing.
That's great. And I showed these because everybody does receive a PDF copy of the integration workbook and the trip journal. And so I think it's so great that you're able to actually kind of follow along and fill this in during the process. And I think that's so valuable for people as well, because you can start to reflect on your own experiences and then understanding the context of what's being taught week to week. It just seems like a very fulfilling and kind of holistic and enriching experience for those who are just ready and at that point in their own journey. So that's really great.
Yeah, it's a great resource. Those two books, absolutely.
Cool. So is there anything else that you want to share about this upcoming cohort? How are you feeling? It starts tomorrow.
Yeah,
You ready?
I can't wait to start. Yeah, I'm very ready, and I hope, people join us in this journey, and you will hear about it. People who've done NAVPSY over the years, because Psychedelics Today has been delivered the course for over the years. They've always reference this course as a great starting point in the psychedelic space. Yeah, not just for the knowledge, but as you said, the connections and the community building. The Psychedelics Today alumni community, how many students do we have? Like 200, 300? Like there's so many people that you'll be connected to. So yeah, really looking forward to it. So yeah, thank you to everyone who was listening, and thank you to providing this space. It was great.
Oh, you're welcome. And just to let everybody know, to finish this off, so Navigating Psychedelics Live starts this week. We are going to be facilitating the course alongside Diego and Jasmine Virdi. You still have time to register, which is exciting. We have a couple of spaces left, so don't delay. Head to psychedeliceducationcenter.com to learn more. And if you want to learn more about Diego, where can everybody find you?
I'd say the best platform related to my work, it will be LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn will be the best. So just my name, Diego Pinzon. You'll be able to find me connected to Psychedelics Today.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.